Welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And maybe we'll do this, we'll dedicate this lesson Le'ilui Nishmato. Is it your uncle, Lauren?
Yes, Sam Dralick.
So we will do it Le'ilui Nishmato, for the elevation of his soul.
Shimon Velvel, I think.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But Rachel.
Ben.
Ben.
Yes.
Ben. No, it's his father's name. Gosh, what is it? I forget.
Okay. That's okay. All right. So we're going to try and do it from here. So we're talking about laws of inheritance, right? So it talks, so the first would go to sons, and then the second would go, if he has no sons, then it would go to his daughters. And if he doesn't have a daughter, v'im ein lo bat, unatatam et lachalato, you shall give his inheritance le'echav, to his brothers. V'im lo, im ein lo achim, and if he has no brothers, unatatem et nachalato la'achei aviv, then it bounces back to a previous generation. It says, and if he has no brothers, you shall give his inheritance, right, his property, to his father's brothers, to his uncles. And then so it bounces back a previous generation. V'im ein achim, right? Clearly, we don't mention his father because he received his inheritance when his father passed away. Okay, so that's why it's going to any brothers that his father may have that that his father predeceased. V'im ein achim, but if there are no brothers la'aviv, for his father, unatatem et nachalato l'she'ero hakarov elav mimishpachto vayaresh oto. So here it becomes more general. It says, and if he has no brothers, that his father has no brothers, you shall give them that his inheritance l'she'ero hakarov. So this is to relatives, right, that are close to him, his nearest relatives from his family, vayarash ota, and whoever that is will inherit it. V'haita livnei Israel, and it shall be for the children of Israel, l'chukat mishpat, as a ordinance, right? Ka'asher tziva Hashem et Moshe, just as God commanded Moses. So the language is interesting a little bit too here, but basic laws of inheritance according to the Torah. So, of course, Rashi needs to explain the she'ero hakarov elav mimishpachto, right? So, in a sense, his nearest kin from his family. And this is from the Sifrei in Baba Batra, page 109. Ve'ein mishpacha kruya ela mishpachat ha'av. And he says that when it uses the term mishpacha, it means only the father's side of the family, the father's family. So that's how it goes there. All right, let's keep going. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, and Hashem said to Moshe, Ale el har ha'avarim hazeh, go up to this Mount Avarim, ure'eh et haaretz, and see the land, asher natati livnei, it's got to be Israel, right, that I have given to the children of Israel. So it's interesting, right? We have these series of events that take place and that move to this particular moment. Ale al har ha'avarim, go up to Mount Avarim, and this is Bamidbar Rabbah, the Midrash Rabbah. Lama nismecha lakan. Why does this particular section is joined to the previous one? Why is it joined here? Kevan, the answer, Sha'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The reason is that once, or since the Holy One, blessed be He, said, Naton titen lahem, when he said, you shall surely give it to them, and he was speaking to Moses, Amar otitzi vahamakom. Moses thought to himself, the ever-present has told me, has commanded me, lahanchil, to give the inheritance. Shema, maybe, hutra hagzera, that edict has been terminated, has been literally means released, because what an edict does is it binds you to a certain path, to a certain behavior, and maybe that's been released. Va'ikanes la'aretz, and I shall go into the land. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, said to him, Gzeirati bimkoma omedet. My edict stands in its place, hasn't changed. And this is from the Sifrei. Davar acher, another interpretation. Kevan shenichnas Moshe lenachalat bnei Gad uvnei Reuven. When again, since Moses was he was involved in the inheritance of the children of God and the children of Reuven, samach, he rejoiced, va'amar, and he thought to himself, kim duma, or kim dume, it appears to me, shehutarli, nidari, right, that my vow has been, again, that I've been released of my vow. Mashal lemelech, so this can be compared to a king, shegazar al beno, who commanded regarding his son, right? He made an edict regarding his son, shelo yikanes lapetach palatin, that he should not go into the entrance of his palace, shelo, his palace. Nichnas lashar, well, the son entered as far as the gate, Vahu acharav, and I think we're talking about here that the king went into the gate, Vahu acharav, and the son followed him. Lechatzar, to the courtyard, Vahu acharav, and the prince was following him. Letraklin, to the entrance chamber. Triclinium, I think, is the Latin word. Vahu acharav, and he was following him. The son was following him. Kevan sheba likanes lakiton, right? So then, since he came to go into the kiton, I imagine that has to be the main chamber. Okay, Amar le, he said to him, Bni, my son, mikan va'elech, from this point and on, ata asur likanes, you're forbidden to enter. Going on, back into the text. Vera'ita ota, so remember, God has just commanded Moses to go up onto this mountaintop and to view the land that he himself is not going to be able to enter, that Moses is not going to be able to enter. Vera'ita ota, and you will see it, you'll view it. V'ne'esafta elamecha gam ata, and you too will be gathered to your people. Ka'asher ne'esaf Aaron hachicha, just as Aaron, your brother, was gathered to his people. Excuse me, 1 second. Okay, Ka'asher ne'esaf Aaron hachicha, just as Aaron, your brother, was gathered. Mikan, from this, we can infer from this. Shenitaveh Moshe mitato shel Aharon, that Moses longed for the same death as Aaron experienced. So that from this wording here, because obviously it doesn't necessary. It's not necessary. The section kasher nesaf Aaron achicha could be left out, and we'd understand exactly on a basic level as to what's being communicated here. So what are these additional words coming to teach us? What we just learned. Davar acher, another interpretation. Ein ata tov mimena menu. So it says another implication is you are no better than him. al asher lo kidashtem, since you did not sanctify, etc. Now let's take a look. This sounds like yes. All right. I think we need to go on. Let's see. Trying to see. I think, yeah. I think it just doesn't mention the verse number. Let's go. Let's take a look. Let's take one more verse here. Ka'asher miritim, right? As you rebelled, P, my mouth, you went against what I told you, b'midbar tzin, in the wilderness of Tzin, b'merivat ha'edah, when the congregation quarreled with you, lahaktisheni, in order to sanctify me, b'mayim, through the water, la'enehem, in their presence. Hey me merivat kadesh midbar tzin. That is,
Rabbi,
yes.
I have a lot more Rashi on the previous verse.
No, it just seemed we'll do it. So we'll go back. It seemed to me that he was commenting on this next little piece, okay? But
Oh, okay, I see what
yeah,
you're
that's all. But I will go back to it. We will absolutely go back to it. And I actually see where this particular verse is referenced by Rashi right here. So we'll go back. We'll go back. Right. L'hakti sheni b'mayim le'inehem, hey me merivat kadesh. Those are the waters of Merivat Kadesh in the wilderness of Sin. So let's keep going now. All right. Asher lo kidashtem, in that you did not sanctify me. Because I don't see that here. Okay. Ha'im kidashtem, so we can infer from that had they sanctified God, kidashtem oti, had you sanctified me, adayin lo higias manchem lipater. It would not, your time would not have arrived to depart from the world, right? B'chol makom shekatav mitatam. Now we notice that in every place where their death, that is the death of Moses and Aaron, is mentioned, katav sirchonam, he also writes why. In other words, how they acted improperly. Lefi shenigzera gzera al dor hamidbar, and the reason is that there was this edict, of course, that was placed against the generation of the wilderness, lamut bamidbar, to die in the wilderness, ba'avon, in the iniquity, the sin, shelo he'eminu, that they did not believe in God. They did not believe God would help them conquer the land of Canaan. Lachach Bikesh Moshe, and for this reason, Moses requested Sheichtav Sirchono, that his particular offense should be mentioned every time. Shelo Yomru, that they should not say, people shouldn't say, Af hu min hamamrim haya, that he too was of those who rebelled, that Moses was also one of those people who rebelled against God in terms of going into the land of Israel. Mashal, lishtei nashim, and this can be compared to two women, lukot bebeitin, that were given stripes in a court. They were condemned to be beaten, right? Achat kilkala, right? And one of them had acted, I believe this would mean immorally, v'achat achla pagesh v'it, and the other one had eaten, I believe, 7-year, is it figs, Lauren?
It says unripe produce on the
Okay,
sabbatical.
okay. So, but the point, so, okay, thank you.
And for the immoral behavior, in parentheses, it says adultery.
Yeah, yeah. But it uses a euphemism here, it said.
Right.
Afkan, okay, Bakol Makom. And in this case, too, since they both were receiving essentially the same punishment, right? Bakol Makom Shehiskir Mitatam. So it's interesting because it says that the mitatan would be their death. Okay, I don't think that eating unripe fruit in the 7th year is a
No, no, keep going. It doesn't say that was the
All right.
punishment.
So I think he's kir sir chonam. He mentions, so this is referring to Moses and Aaron. Then he mentions their offense. Lohodia shelo haita bahem ela zu bilvad, to let them know. No, so this is referencing the women. Okay, to let.
It could reference either one, really. What it says is,
Yeah, but
for
I
here
think
it says, whenever their death is mentioned, their sin is mentioned.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
then it says to tell you they had no sin other than, no, sin or sin.
right.
Yeah, sin, other than this sin alone. So, that really could be true with Moses and Aaron or with the women.
So I think it's trying to use the example of the women, but to me, it would make sense that when they were publicly flogged, because that's what the punishment was, they were being flogged. That's what it's saying, right? Shelukot, okay? Luka is to be flogged. So the point is that since both of them were to be flogged, uh, they mentioned what they were being flogged for, so that they wouldn't think of the woman who had not committed adultery, that somehow she had committed adultery too. So that's,
But
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if were they both flogged to death?
No,
Because then when it says when it says death, it says when their death is mentioned, their sin is mentioned.
I know it doesn't. I think there's either a misprint here or it doesn't make sense. The Torah is very clear that flogging is not supposed to cause death. That it tells you, that you're allowed to give up to 40 stripes, 39, 2 on the back and 1 set on the front, although with a woman that's different. But regardless, they're not, and I don't even know that number is permissible when flogging a woman, but the Torah itself is very clear that it says that your brother not become despised in your eyes, that when you administer the flogging. So this is in another place in the Torah. At any rate, yeah. So I think mitatam, they're sort of confusing it a little bit, because in the case of Moses and Aaron, we really are talking about their death, but in the case of the women, we're talking about them getting flogged, and we're talking about the punishment, because the punishment for Moses and Aaron was that they die.
I think they are talking about Moses and Aaron, because in mine it mentions the analogy of the women being flogged for the different sins, and then it says ... here too, comma, whenever their death is mentioned, their sin is mentioned. So I think they are talking in that second part about Moses and Aaron's death.
So I'll tell you why I don't think so, because if we're talking about Moses and Aaron, then the suffix here, the pronominal suffix, should be m. It should say mitatam, which would be masculine. But the fact that it says
You're right. It says mitatan.
Yes, it does. So it's okay.
Okay.
We are, what can I say? Laboring in the Torah. That's the whole point. Okay, one more Rashi. Haim Mei Merivat Kadesh. Those are the waters of the Meriva, like murmuring, that kind of thing of Kadesh.
It says dispute.
Dispute. Thank you. I'm going to put that in. Thank you. Put that.
Could it also be a reference to that they kept, that even when they came to die, this would be mentioned?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
They never lived down this punishment. They served their time, but it was always mentioned.
Yeah, but it does say in the Rashi, it does list the female ending.
Yeah, I think Judith is making a different point in a way, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Well, when you're saying they weren't flogged to death.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yes.
The death part comes in is that they kept mentioning it. That even when they died, that they had this transgression.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I said earlier.
That's not the sense of the Hebrew. Okay, because it says bechol makom, in every place. So it definitely apply. And with Moses and Aaron, it's got to do with their punishment. That every time it's mentioned that they're not going to go into the land of Israel, they always mention because of the Mirivat Kadesh. And so likewise with the women, because both of them got the same punishment, the one woman for sure would not want to be considered an adulterer. So that's why, even they both were given the same punishment. I think that's the point. Anyway, let me keep going if I may. Haim levadan ein bahem avon acher. So it says, because it says haim, that is, the haim levadam, they alone, ein bahem avon acher, they had no other iniquity. In other words, Moses and Aaron were not to be accused of any other iniquitous behavior. Davar acher haim, this word haim being here, it's sort of emphatic. Shehimru b'mara, haim hayu shehimru b'yam suf. Okay, let me see. So here it's referring must be to the Israelites, right? The ones that
Rashi,
yeah.
here it says it's referring to the waters themselves.
Oh, thank you.
Can I read it with the parenthetical part? It
Sure.
says those waters in parentheses, and
Mm,
then which instigated the rebellion back to parentheses of the Israelites,
yes.
and then at Marah were
Yes.
the same as those which caused rebellion at the Red Sea.
Aha. Aha. Nice. I would not have realized that. Okay. Let me put this in for future reference. Thank you. Great. Yeah, because it says Haim May, right? Right? Let's see. See, Haim May Merivat. So it's taking it that way, all right? Shehem Ruba Mara, the waters where they rebelled or disputed at Mara, Hem Hayu Shehem Ruba Yam Suf. There it is a little bit forced though, I must tell you. Hem Hayu Shehem Ruba Yam Suf, Hem Atzmam Shehem Ruba. This doesn't make sense, Lauren. I have to say, this is Hem Atzmam, they themselves, Shehimru b'midbar tzin, that also rebelled. So I have to say that here it doesn't seem to be talking about the waters. It seems to be talking about the Israelites. In other words, those same Israelites that rebelled at Marah were the same ones who rebelled at the Red Sea. They also I don't know if we want to use Himru. I mean, I think it means lacked faith. I think is the way I'd want to understand it. In other words, the ones that lacked faith at Mara, they were the ones who lacked faith at the Red Sea. They also were the same ones who lacked faith at Midbar. And it's referring to
Yeah,
the
I
Israelites.
think yours makes more sense than Chabad's, because
Yeah.
how could waters provoke a rebellion anyway?
Well, I can understand if it's saying they were the reason, right? They were the cause, not in the sense that they caused it, but they were the reason for it. But it doesn't make sense when it says Hem Atzmam. They themselves, the waters themselves wouldn't have. Okay, the waters weren't rebelling unless,
It says the waters instigated the rebellion,
yes, or unless, as I'm trying to
or
find
at
it.
one point caused it, but I don't understand how.
So Um, hmm. Unless, and here's my really struggling with this, is to say that because they weren't there, they didn't provide the Israelites with the water at the Red Sea. They represented a barrier, and also at Kadesh, again, the fact that they weren't there, it's as if the waters were refusing to in the two cases to provide, liquid refreshment for the Israelites, and in the case of the Red Sea, they were rebelling against God by not parting. But I don't know of
I,
any midrash that suggests that, and it's the only sense that I can make out of it.
I think your translation's better than
I think it makes
Chabad's.
sense. Well, I think it makes sense. At any rate, we're going to stop here, and let me just mark the place. Okay. So give me a moment to put in the little marker here. and we're in a new idea here. This is, as you can see, we're starting a new paragraph right there. So there we are. Okay, I'm going to stop the share, and we're going to stop the recording right here.